Hello dear students, welcome to this presentation on Othello, an introduction to setting. Are we all familiar with the story of Othello by now? We know that Othello is one of the four major tragedies of Shakespeare, and the storyline is quite clear. So we have, a white Venetian girl, Desdemona, who is the daughter of one of the most important senators of Venice, and she elopes with Moor, the black-skinned Othello, and this is something which is quite contrary, is quite unexpected given the social structure of Venice, and this is likely to have caused a stir. And however, we find that the stir is prevented by the fact that Venice at the same time is under attack at its far off island of Cyprus. It's under attack from Turkey, and therefore to defend this, to defend Venice from Turkish forces, immediately the Moor Othello, who is very valiant and who is well known for his captainship, is asked to command an army to Cyprus, and this entire affair hushes the matter. And once in Cyprus, we realize that events unfold in such a way that a tragedy takes place, a domestic tragedy takes place with Othello murdering Desdemona. So the plot of Othello is quite clear. However, what needs attention at the beginning is this switch in the setting. Now, we all know that Shakespeare's plays are very significant as far as the background of the setting is concerned. So consider, for example, The Tempest, which is located at an unidentified island, and though Shakespeare from time to time gives us hints in the text, there's a mention of the Bermudas. The island of Prospero is not exactly locatable on any map as such, so it would be difficult to find a geographical antecedent or precedent to Prospero's island. And this is what perhaps makes it possible for us to believe in all the events that take place in the island. So The Tempest would have been rather incomplete, or would have been rather ineffective, but for the presence of Prospero's magical island. We can believe a creature like Caliban to exist, or a creature like Ariel to exist. We can believe Prospero himself to be possessed with extraordinary powers. So the setting, what I want to emphasize is that is very integral for Shakespearean plays. And setting is not simply a geographical or a physical backdrop to the events that unfold. The setting has got a definite symbolic, a definite psychological role to perform in these plays. So if we look at Othello from the perspective of setting, what seems surprising to us is the way that Othello begins in Venice, but after Act 1, the scene shifts entirely to this unknown, remote island of Cyprus. Now, what exactly would have been Shakespeare's intention behind this shift of setting is something that we will be trying to explore in this very short presentation. So the arguments that critics have in general offered is that this physical remove, this geographical remove from the metropolis of Venice to the remoteness of Cyprus offers ample opportunities for the play's plot to unfold. So what happens in Cyprus may not exactly have happened in Venice in the same way. So it is important for the important characters in the text, to shift to a different setting. So I believe that Cyprus plays the same role in Othello as the shift to a remote island plays for the characters of William Golding's The Lord of the Flies. So this physical move, this geographical move to a place where you are free of the existing conventions, where you are free of all kinds of socialization, is an important aspect that fuels the plot of both Golding's Lord of the Flies as also, I believe, Shakespeare's Othello. So in this very short presentation, we shall be trying to focus we shall be trying to kind of concentrate on the events which lead to the shift and on the possible ways in which this shift can be understood. So I hope you enjoy this presentation. I hope you find it useful enough. Thank you so much.
The setting of Shakespeare's plays. The settings of Shakespeare's plays go beyond offering a simple locale for the play's events. Frequently, they contribute significantly to thematic concerns and development. Shakespeare's Othello opens in Venice, but after Act 1, the scene shifts entirely to Cyprus, and one wonders why. Venice in Shakespeare's day was the wealthy center of a rich trading empire. A Christian state, Venice, because of its trading empire, found itself frequently in conflict with the Muslim Turks, who presented a threat to Europe and to Christendom. In the 15th century, Venice lost most of its eastern possessions in a war with the Turks. Cyprus, which the Venetians had acquired in 1489, was, in August 1571, taken by the Turks, who treated the defenders with great barbarity. However, in October of the same year, the Venetians, in league with Spain, Genoa, Malta, and the Papal States, defeated the whole maritime force of the Turks at the Battle of Lepanto and completely checked their progress. This was a great cause of relief to the Christian states. The Eastern Roman Empire had ended when Constantinople was taken by the Turks under Muhammad II in May 1453. Greece came under Turkish subjection by 1460. The Sultan Solomon the Magnificent captured Belgrade in August 1521 and the island of Rhodes in December of the following year. 7 years later, he laid siege to Vienna, though he was unsuccessful in taking the city. Vienna was again besieged by the Turks as late as 1683, though again unsuccessfully. It will be evident from all this that the Turks were a constant menace to Christian Europe. Shakespeare sets his tragedy of Othello against the background of this conflict, and the characteristics of the opposing states are linked to the thematic concerns of the play. The Turks are the infidel, the unbelievers, the enemies of the true religion. They are barbarous, cunning, and deceptive. Venice, by contrast, is a civilized Christian state. It is associated with government, reason, and law, as the third scene of Act 1 tells us, where Brabantio is presenting his case against Othello in front of the Duke. Venice is a place of solid, stable structures, not simply in its government, but in its domestic life, as the references to Brabantio's household by Othello indicate. Venice, therefore, is the heart of empire, unthreatened directly by Turkish forces. Cyprus, on the other hand, is an outpost of empire on the very verges of civilization where Christian and Turks confront each other. Cyprus is an embattled island rather than a seat of government, which the forces of savagery and evil might easily engulf. When Othello and Desdemona leave Venice, they leave a secure and familiar world of Venice for the unfamiliar and precarious situation of Cyprus, where civilization ends and barbarism begins. The change of location also symbolically reflects the change in the lives of Othello and Desdemona as a result of their love and elopement. Despite the approval which the play seems to give to the marriage, Desdemona's elopement may be viewed as an action which contravenes the rules of society and which undermines authority in the figure of Brabantio, who should legitimately have been asked for his daughter's hand. In the opening act, the Venetians are searching frantically for the valiant Othello. War is at hand, and the Venetian army requires the services of a esteemed general to fight off the advancing Turks. It is at the same time that Brabantio approaches the Duke for redressal against the man who has eloped with his daughter Desdemona. The Duke condemns the action until he knows that it is Othello who is involved, the very person whom the state most needs in its political crisis. This knowledge leads to justice being compromised by expediency, and the Duke attempts to put matters straight right away. However, there is a foreboding in Brabantio's parting words that all may not be right. Look what Brabantio says to the Moor. Look to her, Moor, if thou hast eyes to see. She has deceived her father and may thee. Now these words clearly indicate a foreshadowing of the tragedy that is going to befall Othello and Desdemona. Desdemona has deceived her father in marrying Othello, and in all probability she might deceive Othello for something or someone else. The marriage of Othello and Desdemona involves them entering new and unfamiliar areas of experience, emotionally and physically. Not only does Othello change his single state for marriage and link himself with the personal and domestic world, but Desdemona, who has lived her life until this moment in the familiar environment of her father's Venetian household, suddenly is alienated from her father and is transported to a distant place, as well as having, like Othello, the new experience of marriage. The physical shift of both characters to the remote island of Cyprus symbolically encapsulates these experiential changes. The change of location from Venice to Cyprus also has the effect of introducing an element of psychological realism within the play. Away from Venice and all that it represents, Iago can more easily work to undo the influence of civilization and to release the latent forces of savagery and violence which the contemporary audience would readily believe the Moor, the Black Othello, to possess. The setting in Cyprus, at the edges of the civilized world, so vulnerable to the forces of barbarism, is appropriate therefore to the psychological situation. Shakespeare presents Othello as a man who has his origins in a pagan society. His speech about the magic of the handkerchief clearly indicates this, and who has been in contact with savage peoples, the cannibals, but who has come under the civilizing influence of Christian culture. The audience can believe that the tumultuous passions and latent violence which, through the familiar stereotype, are understood to be associated with the black man, are kept in check by the restraints of civilization at Venice. The move to Cyprus thus allows full play to the binaries of native other, civilization barbarism, and instinct refinement within the text, something which may not have been accomplished in Venice. Othello starts with a semblance of being a largely political play. The Cyprus crisis calls Othello away from his honeymoon and sets up a contrast between the domestic world of the newlyweds and the political world of war and legislation. True to his warrior nature, Othello agrees with the Venetian council that the time for war, not domestic tranquility, is at hand, and he immediately embarks on his mission towards the defense of empire. However, the war with the Turks takes place entirely out of the play's purview in the interval between its first and second acts. As Act 1 ends, Othello is preparing to go to battle. But by the opening of Act 2, the war is over. The Turks are defeated, and the victors are ready to land in Cyprus. By having the war take place so quickly and entirely off stage, we are made immediately aware that Othello is not a story of political intrigue and valor under battle. Instead, Othello is about times of peace, times of domesticity, and the skirmishes and the battles that fill life in the domestic, not military sphere. Also, This presentation of a domestic plot under a military guise underscores one of the play's central themes: the difference between appearance and reality. With this, we come to a close of this presentation. I thank you all for your patient hearing, and I hope we may meet online once again for presentations such as these. Thank you so much.